Thanks everybody for coming. Welcome to session 4 officially. Really excited about this one because this is the topic on execution, which is easily the most important. It's not the most important step. The most important step, as we talked about, was the first one, which was objectives. You've got to start with the end in mind. But 4 is where, to say it, the money is made, essentially. For step 4, execution, what it's about. It's like they say, ideas are cheap. Execution is everything. So you can have all these dreams and aspirations for your life. You could, say, here's my goal. This is what I want to do. You can build out the perfect plan. That's great. But guess what? If you don't execute, then it was all for nothing anyway, right? So execution, today we're going to talk about what I like to say, the secrets to making your dreams a reality. So you can't tell anybody else about this, okay? It's only going to be on the internet for everyone to see. But as I've been taking this on in my own life, what I did, this was a step that I think a lot of financial planners really lack. And this honestly was one of the biggest ones that I wanted to make sure differentiated, my program and the things that I talked about, because I felt like building a budget, that was there. A lot of people did that. I felt like, making goals, that was there. But then when it came down to, okay, I know my goals and I know I have a budget, but how do I tie that together? How do I build a plan? I didn't really feel like I saw like a whole lot of training on that. How do you actually build something and execute on that plan? You got to get into the details, right? So that's where I wanted to make sure that when I talked about this, that execution was really something that I gave people a clear idea of how to do. So let's get into that a little bit. So General Patton, famous general from the U.S. military, says a good plan violently executed now is better than a perfect plan tomorrow. So a lot of people will spend time taking forever planning. I went to a conference just recently. They were talking about building a business, doing different things like that. And he said, show of hands, how many of you have been to 5 conferences in the past 3 years on how to build a business? And a whole bunch of people raised their hand, probably 20% of the room. Something like that. So a lot of conference goers. He said, now out of all of you, how many of you haven't started your business yet? And a lot of hands still stayed up. So, and he's like, that's what we're talking about. You guys are just sitting and you're stuck in planning phase, trying to get the perfect plan when you need to just go out and execute. A good plan is better than a perfect plan as long as you're executing on it. So something we can take from General Patton there. Okay. So the first thing that I want to make sure that we define is what is a short-term goal. We've talked a lot about goals in this entire program. And the thing that I want to make sure that people understand is that when it comes to short-term goals, goals are all the same. We define what a clearly defined objective, a CDO is, in one of the previous sessions. So a CDO is a clearly defined objective. And that has 4 components to it. And those 4 components is it's an action. So I'm going to do something. It's got a metric. So what is it that I'm going to do that thing up until? It's got a deadline, and it's got a, oh my gosh, I'm going brain dead. I just forgot it. Oh man, I forgot the last one. So basically, going through it, sorry, it's been a long day, but going through it, the 4 components, it's like, if I come in and I say, I want to lose 15 pounds, well, that's just a wish, right? So what I have to do in order for it to be a goal is I need to say by a specific date. So I want to lose 15 pounds by next month, 30 days from now. Well, that changes the plan of what I have to do to lose 15 pounds a lot quicker than if I just said, I need to lose 15 pounds. Well, if I leave that, that's completely open-ended. I have a long time to lose 15 pounds. So a CDO with a deadline of less than 12 months. I'm sorry, I have it right here. CDO right in front of me. Action metric detail deadline. So that was, I knew there was another D. I was going brain dead. So the detail, like I said, what is it that you're losing? So in that, the weight loss example I just gave, the action is lose weight. I'm going to lose weight. The metric was 15 pounds. The detail was technically the pounds, right? And then the deadline was 30 days from now. So that's how we do it. So short-term goals, and like I said, a CDO, we use that for our big objectives. What's your 3 to 5 year plan? Hey, I want to own my own business. I want to have a house. I want to have, $100,000 saved up in my bank account, whatever it is. That's our 3 to 5 year goal. So this is the same thing, but it has to be less than 12 months. So short-term goals is no longer than, something that is 12 months out, could be 6 months, could be 3 months. We'll get into that. Has to be tied to one of your 3 objectives. So like we talked about, you cannot have more than 3 objectives, long-term objectives in your life. If you do that, you will not be able to adequately put enough of your resources, your time, your energy, and your money in order to achieving those. And then all of a sudden you're going to spread your resources too thin, and then you won't end up making a lot of headway on any of them. So that's why if you can have one that you're hyper focused on, that's great, but you can't have more than 3. So that's why we do it. So short-term goals, they need to be heading in that direction. So if we go to the house, I want to put 20% down on a house in 3 years. So that means I got to save up $100,000 for the price range that I want. Okay, great. Then that means in 3 years, if you have $100,000, you need to be making, or you need to be setting aside an extra $33,000 a year, right? In order to do that. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about breaking it up. So, to use the weight loss as an example, maybe a long-term objective that we have is that we wanted to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, in Africa. That's a big one, right? Well, if we want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, but we're 30 pounds overweight and we haven't walked a mile in Florida recently, we got a long way to go. So from a short-term goal, we're going to say, okay, I don't need to be prepared to climb Mount Kilimanjaro in a year, but my short-term goal is going to head somewhere in that direction, and maybe a lot of people, maybe you're a bodybuilder who, maybe you're super in shape for lifting weights, but if your goal is to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, I don't care what you can bench press. That doesn't matter if you're climbing. So if your goal is to be fit, well, I just want to be fit, but I want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, that won't work. That's a bad plan, because you're going to have to be heavy and eat all these extra calories and do all these other things that you're doing for weightlifting. That's not going to translate. Squats aren't going to translate to climbing over 10,000 feet on a mountain, right? That's it. You're going to have to trim down. You're going to have to do some long-term hikes. You're going to have to wear boots just to get used to the blisters that are going to get on your feet. So it's still fit, but it's a completely different type of fit. So that's why you can't just be like, well, I got to stay healthy and in shape. You have to determine, is this short-term goal tied to my long-term objective? Well, guess what? Even though you're staying healthy, it's not the right kind of shape for what your ultimate goal is. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea. Next, it breaks the journey into bite-sized pieces. So these short-term goals, it should be, okay, I'm a bodybuilder, I'm jacked. I actually need to lose some weight. So I'm going to start eating less, because I'm consuming a ton of calories in order to keep things in, nice and large, nice big biceps and all that, nice quads. And what I'm actually going to start doing is I'm going to be eating less. I'm going to trim down. I'm going to focus more on cardio, and I'm going to start running more, which would actually make me thinner. And then, I'm going to start wearing some heavy boots when I go places in order for my feet to be able to get used to it. Those are short-term goals that we are breaking into. Sure, you're still in Florida. You're not used to the elevation yet. You're not used to climbing. What is the gear that you need? We're not there yet. We got 3 years to get there. Right now, we just need our body. I don't have to go buy ropes and spelunking equipment and backpacks. I don't need to get that yet. I got 3 years to get there. But right now, I need to start getting my body into the right kind of fit. So that kind of hopefully gives you a little bit of an idea of bite-sized pieces. And then the next one is opportunities to succeed and fail on a regular basis. One of the biggest reasons, and we went over this in the previous session, one of the biggest reasons people do not put a hard deadline on something, the reason we don't say, listen, I want to start my own business in the next 6 months, and we just say, I want to start my own business someday. Well, do you know when someday is? It's never. There is no someday. So by never putting a deadline on something, we are putting off failure indefinitely. You're saying, I can't fail at this as long as it's not a deadline, and I won't feel crappy about myself. Well, this is where I say, this is what's great about short-term goals. I fail and I succeed every single day, because for me personally, what I end up doing is I actually do daily goals. So every day, I know what my big goals are, I know what my short-term goals are. And every day I go, okay, what's 3 to 5 little things that I could do to inch me towards those goals? If I achieve those 3 to 5 things every day, then I say today was a success. If I do 1 out of 3 or 2 out of the 3, then I say today was a failure. But guess what? even on the days I failed, if I did even one of the 5 things that I said I wanted to do, I still moved closer, right? I didn't do all the things I wanted to, but now by doing that, guess what? I'm not scared to fail because I succeed or I fail every day. So I get very much used to it. So that's where becoming comfortable with succeeding and failing all the time is a great thing. All right, so working backwards. We kind of talked about this a lot. This entire program started backwards. We started 3 to 5 years out. We're coming back a little bit more. Now we're at 12 months. Okay, like using the weight loss thing. A lot of people can grasp that. So, hey, 12-month short-term goal is I need to get my body mass index down to 15%. Okay, my 6-month short-term goal. Well, I need to be able to run a mile in 9 minutes. 3 months, I should have a jogging buddy, maybe somebody that I can get to hold me accountable. 1 month, hey, I can cut out candy and soda completely. Stop doing that because I'm trying to get in shape. 1 week, I should go buy running shoes. So it's like, if that's what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to work on my cardio, I'm trying to do all this. Well, guess what? To do that, we can stagger our expectations of what it is that we're doing. We don't have to get there all at once. A lot of times, the mistakes that people make is they try to front load everything. They try to go, okay, I'm going to go big on cardio. I'm going to get down to 15% body, mass index, all these other things. So I'm going to go out and buy the shoes. I'm going to go out and buy the supplements. I'm going to get a whole bunch of new groceries. I'm going to change my diet overnight. Going to get some, really short running shorts and everything like that. I'm going to be set to go, and I'm going to do that all this week. The problem with that is that we're human. And guess what? We don't change easily, right? So that's why it's really important that what we do is we go and we take the time to say, no, we're going to make small changes gradually. That's what we're going to execute. We're going to start here. And I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to go buy some running shoes this week. I need some good shoes. I'm going to go buy some running shoes. That's my goal for this week. Boom, went and did that. Hey, I achieved that. I bought some running shoes. I feel pretty good. Okay, let's see. By the end of 1 month, I got to cut out soda and candy completely. Well, I gave myself a month because I'm going to start trying right now. But, oh, man, I really wanted some Skittles today, and I dropped the ball. I failed, but that's okay because you know what? I used to eat Skittles every day. And I used to have a Pepsi every day with it. But now I'm only having a Skittle after 1 week. I'm only having a Skittle and Pepsi every 2 days. And now I'm only having a Skittle and Pepsi every one time a week. And again, it's not about being an instant success. It's about, hey, we're working. We're getting a little bit better every day, every time. That's what it's about. Okay, now it's been a month and you know what? I don't miss the sugar. It's crazy. I was addicted to sugar. I am, by the way. Have been addicted to sugar. I just did a cleanse last month. And let me tell you something. I went through physical withdrawals, not being able to have sugar. Like I felt it. I felt miserable. I was craving things. I don't even like cake that much. Like cake, like it's good. But dude, one day I was thinking about cake. I was like, oh my God, what do I get for some cake right now? And it's like, I don't even like cake that much, but my body was it was so used to a certain type of sugar level and I just wasn't giving it to it. Now, it took me a while before I completely X'd out candy. And the other day, my wife, after a month of being off of sugar, I had a little bit and she goes, are you getting back on it? I said, honestly, no. I said, I didn't need this. I just chose, I was going to a movie and I wanted to have some Skittles because I enjoyed that. And I didn't have any since then. So I am in much more control of it now. I, again, didn't cold turkey it and go through it overnight. It took me a solid month, but I got there and now I'm in a better spot. So this is why we don't front load everything. A lot of people do that. They realize, I just can't do it. It's too hard and they fail. That's because it's not the best way to do it. So here's a couple worthy quotes about planning. A lot of famous people talk about planning. So John Lennon, famous singer. Life is what happens while you're busy making other plans. That's a good one. From the Bible, many are the plans in the mind of a man, but it is the purpose of the Lord that will stand. Guess what? They're saying, even God is saying, hey, man, you can make your plans. Doesn't mean it's going to work out that way, right? Eleanor Roosevelt, president's wife, had a great one. It takes as much energy to wish as it does to plan. A lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people spend their entire life wishing for something. That's a lot of energy, but they never get it. Why? Well, they never put a plan on. In some cases, I'd challenge that quote and I'd say, sometimes it takes more energy to wish than it does to plan. Because at least if you plan and you try to do something and get it within a year, but it takes 2 years, well, you did it in 2 years. But if you never did it and it was truly important to you, you could waste the majority of your life. How much energy did that take? So the point that I'm ultimately trying to make is that everyone should do yoga. No, okay. No, the point I'm trying to make is that your plan must be flexible or you're going to quit. It's just as simple as that. We can put a plan out there. I had a plan. So a lot of you know, I'm starting my own business to do a whole bunch of these trainings full time, start doing that. According to my plan, I was going to do this 2 years ago, but something happened 2 years ago. I had twins and I thought I was only going to have one kid. I was financially prepared to quit my job and leave for one kid, not for two. So my plan didn't change, right? My goals, my objectives didn't change, but my plan had to adjust a little bit because I said, okay, I no longer have the money I need every month between diapers and daycare and all this. I wasn't planning on two. So I had to continue work. Then what happened? Global pandemic shut everything down. We didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know if the zombie apocalypse was upon us. You know, there's a whole bunch of questions, right? So we had to get through that. So again, just kept kind of pushing it out a little bit. My objective never changed, but my plan had to. I had to go back and I had to get another job because I was getting ready to quit that one, the one I had. I wasn't happy with. I said, okay, well, let me find another company to work for the time being. So I did that. So, you know, then I wanted to quit back in March. Couldn't do that. Something happened. It had to wait another month. You know, it was just one thing after the other. So I was still always moving in that direction, right? But things had to shift around a little bit, but I never gave up on it. Guess what? I'm super excited. Here I am, quit my job. I'm ready to go. I'm starting this company. It's great. So the point is that as long as it's flexible and as long as you hold your plan right here, you don't hold it like this, you know, because there's the analogy. Have you ever heard, you know, you never hold a firecracker with a closed palm? Yeah. Because when you do that, the energy from something as simple as a firecracker, by just holding it like this, will literally blow off your fingers. Right. You can ask Justin Pierre-Paul, very well-known NFL football player who's on my team, the Bucks. He lost, I think it was 3 of his fingers in a firecracker accident. Almost cost him million. Well, it did cost him millions of dollars in his contract. Yeah, really bad. So it blew it off, but he was still able to come back and play at a high level. Well, if all he would have done is held it like this, you hold the same firecracker in your hand like this, you're just going to get a burn on your hand. It won't blow off fingers. Why? Because it's the same thing with plans. If we hold our plans like this, when the world eventually comes by and slaps it all around and it doesn't work anymore, we're just going to give up on it. We're going to throw it off. It's not worth it. I can't do it. But if we hold our plans like this, then when the world comes and slaps it around and blows up, you know, right there in front of us, yeah, that burned. But I'm not giving up on it. I'm good. I didn't lose fingers. We're going to keep going. Okay. So hold your plans out there. Let it be flexible. Things could change. You may have an objective that's super important to you. I really want to own a Lamborghini. Man, I want a Lamborghini. Then you have a kid. And then you go, okay, well, you know what? I really wanted a Lamborghini when it was just me, and, you know, but I can't fit, you know, my wife, and can't put a back seat in the back of a Lamborghini. It's not really functional. Gas mileage is terrible. Maintenance is really bad. You know what? I'm fine with just a really nice SUV and using the money on a nice vacation. So see, it's like life can sometimes even change our objectives, and that's totally fine. That actually, we should expect that to happen at some point in time. But if it truly is something big with deep meaning that's important to you, then hang on there. Okay, so let's get to this. Let's give yourself a raise. And a lot of people are like, oh, I like that idea. How do I give myself a raise? So let's talk about that. So first, going to go back and review our monthly expenses. So on the last session, if you didn't watch the last video, go back, check it out, I believe, session 3. And we go through we have all of what we call the list. The list is every single monthly expense that you have. It's the, you know, credit cards, the utility bills, the Spotify, membership you have, whatever. Put it all down there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go through that list, all the monthly expenses, because now you have your direction. We know we're going here with our objectives. We're heading in this way. So now that you have your objectives, you've created your short-term goals, you know that, hey, I need to get to this place in my journey. And that's going to cost me $30,000, by the end of this year that I need to have saved up. Okay. Well, on top of making more money, how can we cut some of the things that don't align to that? So to go back to the fitness goal, climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. Well, if I have a membership to a movie theater and I'm part of the Cupcakes a Month club, maybe it's time to cancel those. And the money that I'm putting towards those movies, I'm sitting stationary a whole bunch. I could probably be working out that time. If I'm trying to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, Cupcakes a Month. Cupcakes are good, but it doesn't really contribute to my goal. If I cut those things out, that saves me an extra $50 a month. That's $600 a year. Well, I just gave myself a raise, just like that. Boom. I just cut out some things I didn't really need, and boom, I gave myself a raise. So a lot of times that's the fastest way to do it. One of the biggest areas of optimization, as I like to call it, is food. Food, shopping, and entertainment are the biggest ones, but honestly, it's food. 95% of the people that I talk to, their food budget is too much. Why? They're using things like Uber Eats. The fees that get tied onto delivery stuff can double the cost of a meal sometimes. They're eating out 5 to 6 times a week. Scale back. Do it just 2. Learn, cook something at home. Go to the grocery store and get a pre-made meal even. But there's a lot of ways to do it a lot cheaper than that. So these are the areas that you can kind of look for and you can give yourself a raise. This is what I call the freedom of elimination. Okay. There is more than a monetary benefit here of cutting things out. Our lives become too cluttered with too many things. We have some friends that are moving in 2 weeks, and they just said today that they're going home to pack and they're going to get everything set up. Well, guess what? What did they say today was? Well, today we're not actually packing anything. We're just figuring out what we have to throw away. You know what I mean? I was the same way. I moved just recently, and I am not a pack rat by any means in the imagination. Am I using this? Throw it out. I probably throw out things I should probably keep, to be honest with you. But I don't like clutter. I just like getting rid of stuff. I like having a lot less. So anybody in America, especially, but mostly the Western world, that ends up moving somewhere, doesn't matter if you have a big house or if you live in a tiny apartment. It's amazing that when you move, you sit here and you go, man, I don't need that. You're going to end up with at least one box of stuff that's just a bunch of crap now. And you're like, even if it's just old cords, a lot of times with technology, I was cleaning out my office the other day and I'm like, I don't even think I have something for this plug to go into anymore. This is, this went to a computer 10 years ago. Like I can't even use this. So things become obsolete. We outgrow stuff. We don't need it anymore. Change hobbies. Some old soccer cleats I had back in the day. I haven't played soccer in 8 years. Probably get rid of them. The wife said, fair enough. Dreams, whatever. I'm not going to be the next Messi, I guess. So yeah, it's time to hang them up for a little bit. But so this is what happens. So when you start to eliminate these things, not only does it not cost you that much, but it's a path to simplification. There's actually a life benefit to that. In psychology, we learn in business that when you're going to meet with somebody in an office, that you can learn a lot about a person's life by their desk. So a lot of times I would walk in to these C-level executives and I would be meeting with them. And the first thing I do after shaking their hand, look at the desk, because the desk, and oftentimes for some people, the car as well, is a reflection of how that person operates their life. So if I walked in and the desk was pristine, maybe one picture in the corner, a couple things super organized, stuff like that, I go, this person is used to order. This person is used to things being set a certain way, and it bugs them when things are out of place. That's a reflection of how they prefer their world, so to speak. If I walk in and I see a desk, there's papers everywhere, things are strewn all over the place, it's a mess, blah, blah. I go, this person's used to operating in chaos, understands that, it doesn't have a very good organized system, and there's probably some gaps there. And there's pluses and minuses to each one. So there's a lot of things we can learn, but the one thing that's super important is that when we simplify our lives, it frees up not just money, but it frees up time and it frees up energy. And honestly, it frees up a lot of mental space for us to be able to go after the things that we really want. So this is what the freedom of elimination is. So in order to achieve the freedom we desire, we must eliminate things that do not bring us joy and are tied, I'm sorry, I should say, and are not tied to our objectives. So if we say these are our 3 objectives, and this thing that I have, whether it's a subscription to something every month, or if it is a thing in our house that we could turn around and sell, or whatever the case is, guess what? We need to consider eliminating it. So do you have 5, a couple quick examples. Do you have 5, video streaming plans, but want to watch less TV to enable you to enjoy other activities? Then eliminate 3 of them. Okay. Netflix is getting super expensive. Do you need Netflix? Do you need Hulu? Do you need Disney Plus? Do you need Paramount? Do you need, the list goes on. There's so many of them. Keep 1 or 2, right? Eliminate things. You save yourself money. You save yourself time. Is your house constantly messy? Purge things that don't get played with. Sell clothes you don't wear. The goal is always less, and you'll be shocked how much you don't miss it. I'll never forget reading the book by Marie Kondo. I'll never forget reading the book, but now I'm spacing on the the title. But it's the art of tidiness, the magical art of tidiness, I think is what it's called. And Marie Kondo is a Japanese lady, and she came up with a system on how to declutter your home. And me and my wife use this system. And basically what it comes down to is you look at an item, you handle each item individually, you say, does this spark joy? And we did it specifically with our closet and all of our clothes. And it was a 4-hour chore. You literally, according to her, you have to take out every single thing. It was amazing how I don't even care that much about fashion and style. And, I've, try to have some nice clothes, but whatever. It's not something I care about much. But as I was going through my closet, I found a sweater that I have had for 13 years. I had to think about how long I'd had it. I had worn it probably in 8 or 9, but I had it. That means if I had it for 13 years, it made it through multiple moves, multiple jobs, multiple things. And I'm like, why do I still have this thing? And I thought about it and I said, you know what? I said, this was the first piece of clothing that a crush that I had on high school gave to me. It was the first time a crush had ever given me ever gave me a piece of clothing. I had an emotional attachment to this thing, even though it wasn't serving me any purpose for a really long time. It was taking up space. So that was something interesting. So a lot of things in our life can be like that. We can become emotionally tied to things, even subconsciously, and we don't even realize it. And that's what keeps us having a lot of clutter. So I did as the book said, and you go, you know what, had some great memories with this. I don't need it anymore, but, remember 1 or 2 things and boom, got rid of it. Did that with a lot of things, probably got rid of 60% of my closet. And me and my wife talked about it. I said, do you feel better? Yeah, I do. We had a lot less stuff, but we felt better. It's an amazing thing. So I'm not going to get too much more into that. This is a funny one. I forgot this last one. Do you have a boss that you absolutely dread seeing every day? Start interviewing at other places or going for a promotion. You don't have to deal with them. Hey, the freedom of elimination. We are eliminating something really bad in our life. That's a real thing. Sometimes eliminating people. Do you have that one friend that you hang out with, but they're, really not that great of a friend? Or maybe they, are into a lot of stuff that you used to be used into 5-6 years ago. And it's like, you know what? I've kind of outgrown that stage of my life. They just want to sit around and, go to trivia night every night, at different bars in the town. And I'm trying to do something different. I'm trying to build up my finances, trying to, build a family. I'm trying to go after some goals. Maybe trivia night isn't getting me anywhere, but they want to stay in that life. I'm not saying eliminate them. You can't ever talk to them anymore, but maybe you need to reevaluate that friendship and how much time you spend with them. You want to surround yourself with people that are heading in the direction you're heading. All right. So top secret, here we go. Now that we've consolidated our focus and our resources, it's time for one of the most underrated secrets to success. Again, top secret, don't tell anybody. Automate everything. The majority of anything you can do in your life, specifically in this case, regarding finances, if you can do other things, it's great too, but you want to automate it. You want to spend as little time as on it. I talked to a couple of people. I think we talked about this in the second session when we were going over budgeting. People are like, well, the reason I don't budget is because it takes too long. I'm like, budgeting should not take long at all. like your first budget session, figuring it out should be the longest one you ever have. After that, it should be very simple. So to give you an idea, I have right now about $12,000 in expenses every single month. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Working to reduce that sum, but it is slightly on purpose for a lot of different reasons I could get into. But it's exactly where I want it to be actually. Now, with that many bills that we have going on from a lot of different areas, things like that, you would think when I got a budget every month, I got to go through a lot of different things, a lot of different statements, a lot of different whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't. It takes me 15 minutes a month to look at my budget. Why? With that many bills? Well, it's because everything's automated. I don't pay for anything. Yeah, well, I mean, I pay for it, but I don't manually have to go in and pay for, maybe there's one or two bills, a doctor's thing or something, for the girls that I got to pay. But for the most part, everything's taken care of. It's auto draft. So sure, I can go to my bank and I can look at it, make sure, okay, yeah, it was this much. Yep, everything's matching up to the budget. It's fine. It's automated. There's people who have $2,000 a month's expenses that spend more time tracking every single little dollar, paying every single little thing, spend more time on their money than I do. Well, why? I don't need to spend time on my money. I need to be spending my time making money. Or if I'm not making money, I need to be spending time on just stuff I want to spend time, working towards my objectives. You want to be the greatest drummer in the world and join a rock team? Guess what? Spending an hour a week on your budget isn't going to help you. But if you can do 15 minutes a month on it, because everything's automated, well, that just freed you up 3 hours, a little more, 3.5. That's a lot of extra time a week you could be practicing or doing whatever you want. So like I said, your paycheck automated to your checking account. This is normally a no-brainer. Most people automatically do this, but you'd be surprised. A lot of people still getting paper checks. Your savings account. If you are like, I'm going to save $100 a month. That's where we're going to start. I just want to be saving $100 a month. Automate it. Pretty much every single bank lets you do it. If your bank doesn't let you do that, go get a new bank. As simple as that. It's not worth it. Go get a new bank. So go and automate your check. I have mine. I know how much I'm saving every month. Again, don't even look at it. It just happens. It's automated. And the only things I do is when things change, I go and I tweak it. Okay, I'm not want to save more. I got a little bit of a raise at work. I don't want to save $100 a month now. Now I want to save $300. Okay, great. Go in, boom, boom, click it one time, delete that transfer, set it up for $300, boom, done. I don't have to do it anymore. Okay. Your credit card, most important one you can do. Most important one. Why? Because interest. So if you have $1,000 on your credit card that you try to pay off every single month, but you miss one, well, then guess what? Not only does it dock your credit, which hurts you, but then secondly, you got to pay interest on that now. So what I do is I just have it set on my credit card. I go, when's the due date? It's on the 5th every single month. I pay it on the 4th. The end. I don't even look at it. I don't have to worry about it. I know that the credit card's going to get paid and my credit won't be docked. I have fantastic credit because of it. And, life's good. I don't stress. Your investments. This one is the most underrated one that people just don't automate. There's something called drip methods. You can do automatic transfers. Your 401k automatically comes out of your paycheck if you have one. So that's probably one of the few that is already automated since it has to come out pre-tax a lot of times. But a lot of times, there's a lot of different ways that you can choose depending on, what software you're working with, to automate your expenses. You got to do this. You've got to be investing depending on where you are with your journey. The best investment that you may be able to make if you're heavy in debt is paying off a credit card, So I'm not saying that, but when you do get to a point where you invest, automate them. It's great. Your expenses, we talked about this, going down it. Every single one of your expenses that you should be able to pay, from your utility bill to your daycare, whatever, you don't want to think about it. It's just a waste of time. Automate it. Okay. All right. So now getting into milestones. So now that you have your short-term goals set up, 12-month goals that are tied to your objectives, you need to create milestones along the way for the upcoming year to ensure you are tracking towards success. So this is the fun part. We love milestones because milestones let us know, hey, we are making it along our journey. Back in the old days when you were following a map and you had to go and look around and be like, oh yeah, there's the old oak that looks like an angry old man. That was a milestone in the journey. Hey, there's the mountain over there that looks like a wolf howling. Okay, great. I mean, that's what journeyers would look for, is these significant milestones along the way to be like, I know I was going east, like it said, and then I turned northwest, like the direction said, and I'm following my compass here because we're in the wilderness and who knows, it's all I have to go for. I'm really looking for this milestone to really let me know it says there's a massive two-stream waterfall coming up. I haven't seen it yet. Oh, there it is. The milestones are important because they let us know that we're doing the right things and we're going in the right direction. Okay. So let's get to that. Like I said, this is the best part. Celebrate your milestones. So as you set them up along the way, man, let's have some fun. Go out with some friends. I'd be like, man, I just hit my milestone. This is great. These milestones that I'm talking about specifically are meant to be financial. Okay. Now, they don't have to all be, again, if we're talking about a weight loss journey, hey, I've made it trying to lose 50 pounds. I lost 10. That's great. Go celebrate. Cheat with a slice of pizza or whatever it is that you want to do. You know what I mean? But a lot of times what I'm talking about with these is I want to celebrate financial milestones, because in every journey that we do, there is a budget that is tied to it. There is something we're doing. Hey, I'm completely debt free and I wanted to make sure I had $50,000 in investments by the end of this year. But guess what? We're halfway through the year. I'm at 25,000 my goal. Boom, go celebrate. That's awesome. You know what I mean? So one of the things that I do is I recommend something called the toast every 10 rule. So the way that I like to do milestones is pretty much for 10% of your way to your goal. So again, if it's something that's fairly significant, I'm trying to knock out some student debt. I've got $60,000 of student debt. Okay, great. Every $6,000 that you pay off is a milestone. So that way we're not just going to celebrate $60,000 is going to take a long time to pay off. You can get discouraged along the way. Well, when I don't have to focus on the 60,000, I just got to focus on that first six. When I do the first six, what am I going to do? Okay, that first 6,000 I pay off, I'm going to go on a beach day vacation. I'm going to do an overnight stay at a hotel. Okay, that first 6,000 that I pay off, I'm going to go and I'm going to, hit up Disneyland, or I'm going to go and, do a super nice dinner with a big steak, whatever. Celebrate it. You have something to look forward to. Put a trophy out there for you to get. Put time and energy into celebrating your milestones so you're motivated and excited to reach them. Again, that's what this is about. This is about psychology. This is about behaviorism. That's why we're doing this. We're not doing this just to do it along our way, to pat ourselves on the back. We're doing this because a lot of people quit along their journeys. They say, these are the things that are important to me. Here's the 1 to 3 objectives I have, but they never reach it. Why? Because they lose sight of it. They lose motivation. It becomes too daunting. Pick one. Could be a whole bunch of those. I wanted to pay off my debt, in 3 years, but I've only done 15, 20,000 and, on the way to 60. That's awesome. That's amazing. Why are you down about that? Well, probably because the person hasn't had any fun. This is where, I'm not trying to hate on Dave Ramsey. He has some good stuff there, but one of the things I disagree with is he talks about this gazelle focus. Like, hey, if you're being chased by a cheetah, you got to be focused like the gazelle. It's a live or die thing. The majority of goals that we're talking about aren't live or die. Okay. They're important to be able to live the life you want, but they're not live or die situations. And, a gazelle, the thing that people don't understand is they can only run for so long. Can they just outlast for a very intense short period of time getting rid of that cheetah? I've watched tons of nature documentaries. I have yet to see a 60-minute chase of a cheetah between a gazelle. They can't, neither one of them can run that intensely for that long. They will burn out. So normally the chase that you're watching lasts for about 2 minutes, right? But it is an intense 2 minutes. Well, that's great. If you got to get started to do something, starting your journey, that's an intense 2 minutes. But then after that, it's just cheetah, it burns out. Gazelle's bounding away just fast enough to put some distance, but he's tired. That's the point. Don't burn out. Look forward to the milestones. Don't think that I can't have fun for the next 3 years because I have to put everything towards getting out of debt or reaching this financial goal. You will burn out. You will not end up doing it. And even if you do hit it, I know people that have done it. I'm not saying it's impossible. I know people who have done 3 years of no fun and they paid off the debt. And guess what? They were miserable. They were miserable to be around. I didn't want to hang out with them. I was like, it's like, dude, even when we hang out, all you want to do is talk about how you can't have fun, right? Because you're paying off. Is it worth it? Think about it like this. If you had to pay off $60,000 in debt, if you went nonstop, let's say you plan to do that in 3 years, okay? So in 3 years, your average payment that you would do, that's $6,000 a year. So that's $500 a month that we're talking about. So $500 a month you're doing towards this over the course of 3 years. Sorry if the math is off on that. I'm just had a long night doing it in my head. But whatever that number is, if you just, for each milestone that you had, 10 of them, took one of those payments, and let's say it was $500 a month, and you said, I'm just going to go celebrate with that. I'm just going to go, take that payment and just use that as a celebration. You're only going to back yourself up from reaching your goal by a few months. Isn't that worth it to not be miserable for a few years? So it's like, don't make yourself miserable. So here's an example of the toast every 10 that I was talking about. And here, instead of me doing crappy math in my head, I have an example right here. I forgot about. So the couple had a combined $76,000 in debt, not including their mortgage. We're just talking that. So they had $76,000 in debt. They negotiated down their interest rates and they started paying off the debt with the highest interest rate. So following the toast every 10 rule, they set rewards in themselves every time they paid off $7,600, which was 10% of the overall debt. They spent a night. So when they achieved one of their milestones, they spent the night and dreamed up their first 3 rewards. So when they paid off, their first second and third $7,600, that's about $22,000 of it. So this is what they had. They had a fancy steakhouse dinner for the first one. Second one got a little better. They did a weekend at the beach. And then the third one, they wanted a new patio table. Okay. Again, they just took a little bit of the money that they were using to put it aside, and they did things for themselves to make it more rewarding, make it more enjoyable. They weren't miserable. They knew they were going to get a short-term reward moving in the right direction. It's psychology. We've got to know thyself and know that, hey, very few of us are going to make it in this journey running like a gazelle for 60 hours. Doesn't work that way. It's about sprints. All right. So this kept people excited, helped them pay off debt faster, and make the process more enjoyable. So that's the point. The toast every 10 more. This is the other secret. Accountability. All right. Accountability is incredibly underrated from a psychological perspective, from a spiritual perspective, from a just overall well-being perspective. To have accountability on the way to your goals is an amazing thing. When you look at the statistics of people who try to accomplish something in private versus when they go and they actually tell other people about it, the stats are incredible. We're talking 3 to 4 times more likelihood that you will reach your goals. So what I'd say is I like to say that 3 is best, because sometimes we may just do 2 and you may just tell one other person, that's fine. But I recommend 3. So by getting accountability from 2 other people, you are the third person. You are accountable to yourself. Okay. So that sets us up for success, because the only thing people love more than succeeding is avoiding failure. People hate to be embarrassed. Well, when you go out, if you do a post online that says, hey, I'm going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro in 3 years, that's people remember that. And you've put it out there. And then if you tell a close friend, a parent, somebody, please hold me accountable. Call me once a month, see how I'm doing. Call me once a week. Can I talk to you once a week? Hey, we talk all the time. Can you just regularly remember to ask me how the journey is going? Make sure I'm talking to you about it. You do things like that, you will absolutely launch yourself into a realm of achieving success that you could never reach if you were just trying to do it by yourself in a vacuum. You have to be an incredibly disciplined person to do it. And the reality is not a lot of people are. Accountability keeps us sharp. The Bible talks about it. Now, this is a note for people who are married. You cannot include your spouse on this, Because a lot of times, and we talk about this, if you're married, your objectives, you two have agreed on those going together. A lot of times our spouse are not good people to keep us accountable because we get used to hearing each other's voices, and we can easily just be like, yeah, I know, and it's easy to blow off. I know it doesn't sound like it should be that way. It's the most important person in your life. But when you do life together all the time, that can happen sometimes. So your spouse is not somebody that you can use in this accountability. So just a little note there. All right. So the last secret to the best monthly review ever, because I tell everybody all the time, you need to do a monthly review of your goals. You have to be tracking your goals. Set it up, whip out your phone, put it on your calendar, do the reminder, just pick a day. It's got to change. It doesn't matter. Pick a day every month that you were doing and come in and say, all right, I am going to do this monthly review of how I'm tracking my goals. Am I sticking to the money and the budget? How's it all going? Blah, blah, blah. The secret is simply to make it fun. That's it. Make it fun for yourself. Look forward to it. You are pursuing something that is very important to you. That should be exciting. It shouldn't be this, okay, let's go look at the budget and let's see how things went. Or no, this should be exciting. It should be fun. If you have a friend, who's also doing something, say, hey, let's get together. You want to go out, grab a quick bite to eat? You want to get a drink? And let's talk about our goals and how we're doing. Hold each other accountable that way. Get excited about it. Even if you didn't do that well that month. I didn't do that well this month, but I got a little closer. So that's something. I failed this month on reaching my milestone that I wanted to reach, but I'm going to get it next month. Watch, hold me accountable on it. I'm going to do it. Make it fun, make it lighthearted. Failure doesn't sting that bad when you do that. So when you're going and you're doing these monthly reviews, I know a couple, they made their own ice cream. That's one of the things that motivated me to put it up there. Hey, if that's not your style, you don't want to go out and do this big thing with it, and it's just you, and you're like, hey, I have my accountability partner, but for my review, I wanted to just be me. All right, get the laptop out, get your paper tracker, whatever it is that you're doing, a little wine or, drink, whatever, and then just go through, write it all out, and then boom, just make it a good night for you. Whatever you like, do that. But you have to hold yourself accountable to that. That is the last secret in order to achieve that success around execution. And with that, that wraps up this session around execution. Hope you all enjoyed that. And like I said, if you hadn't had a chance to go back, set your objectives, do the budget, figure out where you are, the starting plan, go back onto the YouTube channel, watch sessions 1, 2, and 3. And then this one will be the next step in that, and you can go from there.